This is how you remove the outer sill without having to cut anywhere in here or having to cut off the fender. Alright, so the way I did it is I cut this out in sections. I actually cut this whole piece out, then I cut the bottom out here, and when you're left with the top piece, there are two tabs here that this one and on the other side that you can either cut or you can drill the weld out, and you pop it out, and then this piece should just wiggle out because I had no pinch welds on that side. However, when you get to, oh, excuse the mess, I got things all over the place. Now, once you get to here, what I see a lot of people do is just cut a section out here. Now, my fender was in good shape, plus I didn't feel like creating more work for myself trying to, weld a piece of metal in and blend it in and make it look right. So what I actually ended up doing is the same thing. I ended up cutting it here and down and out and just taking the whole section out. And what you will notice is this piece, actually there's right in this gap, the fender kind of, lips in like that. So I did have a couple of pinch welds, and what I did is I took I took a grinding disc first, then I took a flap wheel, and I just cut it down till it was paper thin, and then as I found little pinch welds, I would drill them out, but basically remove that whole thing like that. So what you're going to be left is on the inside, the inner lip, which continues here. So basically, what that ended up being is there's a lip right there. There's a couple of little pinch welds right in here. So you just cut that out. However you want to do it, you can either cut straight into it, or you can take take your pinch welds out. But this little lip right here is actually going to be stuck on the inside, sandwiched between like 3 pieces. So, and that's why a lot of people cut this section out, is to get to those welds. What I found after I scratched my head for a little bit is that because my car is taken apart, it's being fully restored, the panel is off right here. So these welds are actually right along this edge right in here. So what I did is I just drilled them out, and sometimes you have to stick a screwdriver in there or a little chisel or something, just kind of pop everything apart. And once I got the bottom piece, and this will make sense once you actually cut the section out, once I actually got the bottom piece removed for the most part, all I really had to do was just wiggle it back and forth, and it takes a little bit of wiggling, and try not to push the fender out or anything. But once I did all the wiggling, it came right down and left me a perfect piece that I could actually take my whole outer sill and I could slip it right in. And I imagine for the inner sill, you could probably do just about the same thing. Either that, or you can just, once you have the outer off, you can cut it in sections. But I don't know, that's how I did it. That was the other tab that I was talking about. I don't think you can see it in there. But, like I said, I didn't have any pinch welds right there. All I did was just wiggle it, and the actually piece came out. But if worst comes to worst, and don't quote me on this because like I said, I haven't done this, I didn't have any pinch welds there. I'm pretty sure you can go right inside there and do the same thing and drill them out. And I actually found it a little bit easier because, like I said, I haven't ground the welds down yet. If you can see them, you're gonna have to button weld this thing in. And if you want to keep a nice tight gap, what you want to do is you want to use about 3 or 4 C-clamps, and you actually want to clamp it right along the edge and get it as tight together as possible, and then weld, because if you start, having a gap there, it actually is going to make it slightly structurally weaker. Not that it, I don't know if it's actually, affecting anything in a major way, but that's just how it is. So yeah, that's how I did that, because quite frankly, I just really didn't feel like cutting my fender up, because my fender, like I said, was in good shape. And the last thing too is you have those, you got a couple of little pinch welds. So what I did is I did a really, really dirty job here, but I got my gun right up through this hole here, and I just blasted it down and, got a whole, I don't know if you can see the little slaggy piece. I couldn't actually even really knock it off, but I got those button wheels because, I mean, if they were there from the factory, there's probably a good reason for them being there, so I figured I will do that. And another thing I noticed on mine, and I kind of recreated it with this one too, is this, at the end of this little gap, there was actually a bead of weld, and I don't know if it's been replaced prior or anything like that, but basically all you have to do is just go in there with a Dremel and cut it out. And when you're doing that, let me see if I can focus a little better. But anyway, when you're doing that, it's a lot better of an idea to actually cut more on this side than this side, because you're replacing this whole piece anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But you're not really replacing anything there. But I guess, I mean, if it makes any sense, if you're, well, I guess if you're going to do the same thing that the factory, well, I'm assuming the factory did, just put a little weld right there. They'll, you know, whatever you're going to cut off, the actual fender part is going to get filled in. Hope I didn't confuse you too bad, and excuse the mess in the garage. Right now I am sitting here with crap all over the place just because I haven't had a really good chance to clean up, and I'm sitting with my suspension almost together but taken apart because I am waiting on a control arm, and it is back ordered right now, so I actually can't move the car to, you know, out of the garage to actually get all the garbage and crap out of here. So yeah, hopefully that helped you, and thank you.